Becoming a baseball star usually guarantees a player fame and fortune, but not all of them hold on to their fortune. Some players splurge.
I know I screwed up and I made mistakes.
Some make bad investments, and then there are those whose financial downfall is tied to one thing: romantic relationships gone awry.
I lived in a garage for 6 months with no money. I remember one time having $20 in my pocket.
These are MLB players whose love lives left them swinging and missing financially. Darryl Strawberry. Let's start with an 8-time All-Star and member of Met and Yankees World Series winners, Darryl Strawberry. On the surface, Strawberry was living the dream: fame, fortune, and adoration from millions of fans. But for all his success on the field, his personal life was anything but stable. Married to his first wife, Lisa Andrews, in 1985, the couple's relationship faced immense strain, with domestic issues and substance abuse circulating in tabloids. Eventually, the marriage broke down, leading to a highly publicized divorce. The court battle was fierce, with Lisa seeking sole custody of their children. She also demanded $50,000 monthly in spousal and child support and a fair division of the couple's property. Unfortunately for Strawberry, the financial fallout didn't end with the divorce settlement. He failed to keep up with the support payments, leading to a lawsuit and a court order to pay $300,000 in overdue spousal and child support. 2 years later, Strawberry remarried to Charisse. This marriage seemed to offer him a new beginning. The outfielder was battling his addictions, going through rehabilitation, and even overcoming a diagnosis of colon cancer. But unfortunately, the ghosts of his past would not stay buried. After more than a decade together, Charisse filed for divorce in 2005. In a public statement, she said, "My marriage is past the point of reconciliation. I wish Darryl the best and continue to pray for him." As part of their divorce settlement, Darryl agreed to pay Charisse $800,000 of his earnings with the Mets in the 1980s. With these legal obligations, Strawberry's financial troubles continued. His earnings from baseball were dwindling, and he struggled to keep up with his increasing debts. As if his financial woes were not enough, Strawberry's troubles continued into the 21st century. In 2021, he was ordered to pay $40,000 in overdue child support and an additional $2,000 per month to a woman named Lisa Clayton, who claimed that the baseball player was the father of her son. Let's turn our attention to another player, Jose Canseco, whose financial troubles began to surface even at the height of his career. Jose Canseco. A Cuban-born powerhouse, Canseco combined speed, strength, and an arm that could launch a rocket. In the 1980s, he dominated Major League Baseball, dazzling fans and opponents alike. In 1988, he made history as the first player to hit 40 home runs and steal 40 bases in the same season, earning the American League MVP award in a unanimous vote. The following year, he led the Oakland Athletics to a World Series victory over the San Francisco Giants. But off the field, his life was crashing, setting the stage for a series of financial setbacks. Canseco married Esther Haddad in 1988, but the union was short-lived. By 1992, their marriage ended in a bitter and costly divorce. Canseco, who filed for the divorce, cited irrevocable differences in court documents. In 1996, Canseco married fitness model Jessica Sekeli. Unfortunately, his second marriage faced similar struggles and ended in divorce just 3 years later. This time, the financial hit was even steeper. In a candid Vlad TV interview, he admitted the divorces drained a significant portion of his wealth.
In 2008, you had actually revealed that your house in Encino got foreclosed on. And you said that it was 2 divorces that actually caused that, $7 million. Each of those cost you between $7 and $8 million.
One did for sure, yes.
Beyond his divorces, Canseco's legal issues further contributed to his financial downfall. He faced multiple charges over the years, including allegations of domestic violence and tax evasion. These legal troubles not only damaged his public image, but also came with hefty court fees and settlements. By the early 2000s, Canseco's financial situation was dire. He was forced to sell many of his assets, including his prized Florida mansion, in an attempt to stay afloat. Moving on to the next baseball star, whose wife was behind the untimely end of his career at a major club, Ben Zobrist. Zobrist built his reputation as a dependable and versatile player, earning the nickname Zorilla for his prowess on the field. A 3-time All-Star and 2-time World Series champion, he played a major role in the Chicago Cubs' historic 2016 championship, earning World Series MVP honors. His career earnings reportedly exceeded $56 million, placing him among the financially comfortable elite of Major League Baseball. Yet, like Canseco, Zobrist's personal life would eventually overshadow his professional success. In 2000, 2019, Zobrist's life took a public and dramatic turn when his wife, Juliana, filed for divorce. Juliana, a Christian pop artist, alleged that Zobrist had failed to preserve marital assets, a claim that included her seeking $4 million and an even split of the couple's wealth, nearly half of Zobrist's estimated net worth. In the court document, she also claimed that the 2016 World Series MVP intentionally and voluntarily stopped working and went from the top of his game to giving up, which affected the household income. At the heart of the dispute was Juliana's extramarital affair with the couple's pastor, Byron Yorn, a betrayal that deeply affected Zobrist both emotionally and professionally. Not only that, Yorn also defrauded the baseball player's charity, collecting a $3,500 monthly salary.
And so what we're really seeing unfold in the media and in this divorce trial is the emotions of a husband who felt like he was duped by his wife and a good friend, business partner, and pastor, someone who's providing him, religious counseling as well. But we also have the intersection of fraud.
The legal filings revealed that Zobrist had stepped away from baseball in 2019 to focus on saving his marriage, a decision that effectively ended his career with the Cubs. His attorney, Helen S. Rogers, argued that Juliana's actions, including her relationship with Yorn, were the primary reason for Zobrist's premature exit from the sport. In another situation, we have a player whose career was marked by both incredible promises and devastating setbacks. Wally Backman. Backman was a key figure on the 1986 New York Mets championship team, playing second base and hitting an impressive .320 that season. Over 9 seasons with the Mets and 5 more with 4 other teams, Backman built a respectable MLB career. After retiring as a player, he turned to coaching and managerial roles, earning recognition as a sharp baseball mind with the potential to manage at the highest level. By the early 2000s, Backman was on the verge of a breakthrough. His knowledge of the game and leadership abilities made him a strong candidate for major league managerial positions. That opportunity arrived in 2004 when he was named manager of the Arizona Diamondbacks. However, the excitement was short-lived. Shortly after the announcement, troubling revelations from Backman's past surfaced, including a domestic violence arrest in 2001 after a fight at his home involving his then-wife and another person. In 2019, he was arrested for domestic violence after pushing a woman against a wall, twisting her hand, and taking her phone to prevent her from calling 911. He faced charges of harassment and criminal mischief. These issues led the Diamondbacks to rescind their offer, halting Backman's ascent.
It has affected my career in some ways. There's opportunities that I believe and I know that talking to different people that I've lost out on for this year.
The fallout was devastating. Backman went from the verge of realizing his dream of managing in Major League Baseball to being effectively blacklisted. Major teams, wary of the public scrutiny and potential backlash, were reluctant to hire him. For a man whose identity and livelihood were so deeply tied to the game, the sudden and dramatic reversal of fortune was both humiliating and financially damaging. Like Backman, Knobloch is another player who was on a successful run after his career, but a domestic violence accusation derailed that. Chuck Knobloch. Walking into a loaded Twins team, the American-born player saw big league success almost immediately. He was the American League Rookie of the Year in 1991, a 4-time All-Star, and won 4 World Series titles. But Knobloch's career began to derail in 1999 when he developed a mysterious and debilitating condition known as the yips, a mental block that severely affected his throwing accuracy. Once a dependable fielder, he suddenly found himself unable to make routine throws to first base. The issue was psychological rather than physical, but its impact was devastating. Fans and analysts watched in disbelief as Knobloch's throws sailed wildly off target, sometimes into the stands. The Yankees attempted to address the issue by moving him to the outfield, but the mental block persisted. By the time Knobloch retired in 2002, his struggles in the field had overshadowed his earlier achievements. The yips not only ended his career prematurely, but also left him without the sense of closure many athletes seek when they step away from the game.
And it was really heartbreaking to watch.
Off the field, Knobloch's post-retirement life was filled with difficulties. His personal relationships became tabloid fodder, with 3 divorces contributing to significant financial strain. Compounding his financial woes were allegations of domestic violence. In 2009, Knobloch was charged with assaulting his then-wife, Sherry Knobloch, during an argument at their Houston home. The case caused the Twins to reverse the decision to put him in the team's Hall of Fame. Let's move on to another MLB star who tried to act smart and hide his assets from his ex-wife, but failed woefully at it. Bobby Bonilla. Bobby Bonilla was one of the most prolific hitters of his era, earning 6 All-Star selections and a World Series championship in 1997. Known for his combination of power and consistency, Bonilla's career earnings exceeded $50 million, increased by lucrative contracts that reflected his status as one of the game's top players. However, while Bonilla achieved success on the field, his personal life was far less stable. His marriage to Millie Bonilla, which began in 1986, crashed in the mid-2000s, leading to a bitter divorce battle that nearly derailed his financial stability. By the time the divorce proceedings began, Bonilla's finances had become a focal point of the dispute. Reports surfaced that the former star had attempted to hide assets to avoid splitting them with Millie, including investments, real estate holdings, and cash reserves from his baseball earnings. At the center of the conflict was Bonilla's infamous deferred compensation deal with the New York Mets, which guaranteed him $19 million annually from 2011 to 2035. This agreement, structured as a way for the Mets to spread out payments owed to him, was viewed as a financial safety net for Bonilla. However, during the divorce, it also became a point of contention, with Millie and her legal team arguing that she was entitled to a significant portion of the future payments. Bonilla's attempts to shield these assets only intensified the legal battle. Court filings revealed that he had made efforts to hide certain holdings and downplay the value of his deferred payment arrangement. Millie fought back aggressively, hiring financial experts and attorneys to trace hidden funds and ensure that the marital assets were fully accounted for. The case dragged on for months, with each side accusing the other of dishonesty and manipulation. In the end, the court ruled that Millie was entitled to 50% of the Mets' money. Now, let's shift our focus to another baseball figure whose financial life took a hit through domestic abuse: Jose Reyes. Jose Reyes had a remarkable MLB career, standing out as one of the league's most dynamic shortstops. From his debut with the New York Mets in 2003, Reyes dazzled fans with his speed, energy, and skill at the plate. A 4-time All-Star, he led the league in stolen bases multiple times and even claimed the National League batting title in 2011 while with the Mets. Over the years, Reyes also played for the Miami Marlins, Toronto Blue Jays, and Colorado Rockies, becoming a fan favorite for his electrifying performances. However, his career took a darker turn in October 2015 when Reyes was arrested in Hawaii on charges of domestic abuse. He was accused of grabbing his wife by the throat and shoving her into a sliding glass door. In March 2016, the charges were dropped after his wife declined to cooperate with the investigation, but MLB, under its joint domestic violence policy, launched its own investigation. In May 2016, Commissioner Rob Manfred handed Reyes a suspension without pay through May 31st, covering 51 regular season games. The penalty cost Reyes $6.97 million of his $22 million salary that season. Additionally, as part of his discipline, Reyes agreed to donate $100,000 to programs aimed at preventing and treating domestic violence.
You know, what I did, I know was wrong. I mean, you know, yes, that kind of stuff don't happen again. I mean, because like I say, that's why that I'm here in this situation, you know, so, you know, I just have to say sorry for the fan out there.
Rather than reinstating Reyes after his suspension ended, the Colorado Rockies made the bold decision to cut ties with the shortstop entirely, leaving him without a team in the major league until he was signed by his former team, the New York Mets. Now, let's shift our focus to another baseball figure whose financial life took a hit, not through domestic abuse, but through paternity issues: Steve Garvey. Steve was one of the known baseball players with a stellar record, including a 10-time All-Star, a National League MVP, and a 4-time Gold Glove winner. However, his Hall of Fame candidacy has been met with several oppositions over the years for several reasons, including getting caught up in paternity suits. This marked the beginning of his financial troubles. In 1991, Garvey was sued by his one-time fiancée, Rebecca Mendenhall, alleging that he was the father of her child born in 1989. In 1993, a judge ruled that Garvey was the boy's father and that Mendenhall was entitled to child support. 3 years later, as Garvey sought a reduction in the amount he was ordered to pay, he filed the declaration stating he was nearly $1 million in debt. Mendenhall agreed to a reduction, but in 2000, when she heard Garvey was expected to receive $3 million in disputed pension funds from Major League Baseball, she filed court papers seeking to adjust his child support payment. Though the money never materialized, Mendenhall's lawyers became convinced that Garvey was attempting to hide income through his current wife. Candace. In addition to finding that Garvey should pay increased support, the judge ordered him to pay $165,000 to Mendenhall's attorney and accounting expert. With interest, the debt has since grown to $235,000, records show. Court documents and media reports also revealed Garvey grappled with mounting debts. Despite earning millions during his playing career and through endorsements, he owed money to unlikely creditors, including his children's nanny and even his church. What made Garvey's financial troubles even more baffling was his lavish lifestyle. While struggling to keep up with debts and legal obligations, he lived extravagantly with his family. Lavish homes, luxury vacations, and an overall lifestyle that seemed out of sync with his financial reality only fueled the fire. From Garvey's struggles, we move to David Justice, whose achievements at Braves made him a popular figure. Yet, his off-field controversies with Halle Berry, his ex-wife, affected his marketability. David Justice. When it comes to elite baseball players, David Justice isn't one, but he was close to it with his quick wrists and smooth level swing, which could be considered one of the prettiest swings in baseball. Justice wasn't the star on any team, but he was a key cog for every team he played for. His home run in Game 6 won the 1995 World Series for the Braves, yet despite his modest on-field success, Justice's reputation was negatively impacted by issues off the field, specifically accusations of abuse leveled against him by his ex-wife, Halle Berry, after their divorce. Justice married actress Halle Berry in 1993, forming one of the most high-profile celebrity couples of the decade. However, their marriage ended in a contentious divorce in 1997. Following the split, Berry spoke in interviews about an ex-boyfriend who abused her, causing a permanent hearing loss in one ear. Although she didn't explicitly name Justice, the circumstances of their split led many to presume his guilt. During their divorce proceedings, Berry filed for a restraining order against the player, alleging that he stayed outside the house for more than 4 hours, demanding to be allowed in to retrieve some belongings. At one point, he was alleged to have yelled that he would break down the windows and doors. While Justice denied the incident, the abuse allegation reportedly resulted in fans heckling Justice during games, with some shouting, "Hey Justice, hit the ball like you hit Halle." After keeping silent about the situation, Justice finally let loose in 2015, sending a barrage of tweets directed at Berry. In the messages, the baseball player repeatedly stated that he never hit Berry during their relationship. Justice also believes that the allegations affected his marketability as an athlete and public figure, saying, "I will never be able to quantify it, but I've lost a lot of endorsement deals behind this cloud over my head." To Angels fans, Chuck Finley was an icon on the mound. However, his marriage to Tawny Kitaen, with its allegations and lawsuits, became a public drama that deeply impacted his life. Chuck Finley. Finley is an awesome player and one of the best all-time Angels pitchers, a 5-time MLB All-Star, and at the time, the only pitcher who had struck out 4 batters in a single inning more than once. He did it 3 times in all, but his marital life was far from smooth. Finley's marriage to actress Tawny Kitaen, best known for her roles in 1980s music videos and films, was initially seen as a glamorous union between 2 high-profile figures. The couple married in 1997 and had 2 daughters together, appearing to enjoy a lavish lifestyle befitting their respective careers. However, behind the scenes, the relationship was loaded with tension and allegations of abuse. In 2002, their marriage came to a dramatic end when Finley filed for divorce. The divorce lawsuit came shortly after an incident in which Kitaen was arrested for allegedly attacking Finley during an argument. Police reports indicated that Kitaen had physically assaulted him, kicking him repeatedly with her high-heeled shoes. Finley later obtained a restraining order against Kitaen, claiming that her behavior was erratic and dangerous. The split quickly turned contentious, with Kitaen accusing Finley of domestic violence in public and legal forums. These allegations and Kitaen's later actions would have lasting consequences for Finley's financial health. Following the divorce, Kitaen escalated the conflict by filing a $12 million lawsuit against Finley, accusing him of physical and emotional abuse during their marriage. The lawsuit also alleged that Finley broke his promise to support her for the rest of her life financially. Next, we have a player who was as tough as nails on the field, yet couldn't shield his finances from the series of woes that followed his retirement. Lenny Dykstra. Nicknamed Nails, Lenny Dykstra was a key player who was instrumental in the Mets' 1986 World Series victory and led the Philadelphia Phillies to the 1993 World Series, earning 3 All-Star selections along the way. However, Dykstra's life after baseball has been marked by financial woes, legal troubles, and personal setbacks. Dykstra enjoyed financial success during and immediately after his baseball career. Following his retirement, he ventured into business, owning a chain of car washes and later launching an ambitious but ill-fated venture in high-end magazine publishing aimed at professional athletes. Initially, these ventures seemed promising, but Dijkstra projected an image of a savvy entrepreneur. However, cracks soon began to appear in his financial empire. By the late 2000s, Dijkstra was facing mounting debts, lawsuits, and accusations of fraud. In 2009, he filed for bankruptcy, listing debts of more than $31 million against assets of only $50,000. It was a shocking fall from grace for someone once seen as a baseball hero. Legal issues compounded Dijkstra's financial woes. Over the years, he faced numerous charges, including grand theft auto, identity theft, and bankruptcy fraud. He also served time in federal prison for some of these offenses. As Dijkstra's financial and legal troubles mounted, so did the strain on his personal life. His 23-year marriage to his wife, Terry, ended in divorce, adding to his emotional and financial burdens. The divorce was reportedly heated, with both sides leveling accusations against each other. Terry eventually received half of the couple's assets, which included 2 homes in California and a vehicle, as part of the settlement. Let's move to another player who threatened to pull him out of the game despite the financial success he earned from his playing days and personal matters, especially his divorce. Brett Saberhagen. Saberhagen's baseball career was defined by early success. In 1985, at just 21 years old, he won his first Cy Young Award and was named the World Series MVP after pitching a shutout in Game 7 against the St. Louis Cardinals. Over the course of his career, Saberhagen played for teams like the Royals, New York Mets, Colorado Rockies, and Boston Red Sox, amassing numerous accolades and significant earnings. By the time he entered the prime of his career, Saberhagen was earning millions annually, making him one of the highest-paid pitchers in the league. Yet, like many athletes on this list, his personal life brought its own set of challenges in the guise of a highly publicized battle with his ex-wife over spousal support. During the divorce proceedings in 1998, the court initially ruled that Saberhagen would have to pay his ex-wife 47% of his monthly income. The ruling sparked frustration for Saberhagen, who felt the decision was unfair, claiming that he was taking home only 13% of his salary and baseball-related income after taxes, agent fees, alimony, and child support. In response, he vowed to quit baseball entirely, seeing no other way to escape the crushing financial obligation. Not ready to quit and determined to challenge the ruling, Saberhagen pursued a legal fight to have the settlement reduced. After lengthy legal proceedings, Saberhagen successfully negotiated a reduction in the settlement. The revised agreement allowed him to retain a larger portion of his income, alleviating some of the financial pressure and enabling him to continue his baseball career. Next is an MLB star whose domestic violence accusations brought a suspension that cost him more than just games. Aroldis Chapman. The Cuban-born lefty, acquired from the Cincinnati Reds in exchange for 4 minor leaguers, Aroldis Chapman has held the record for the fastest pitch ever thrown in MLB history at 105.1 mph. But in 2016, he was suspended from the game he excelled at when allegations surfaced in the previous year that he assaulted his girlfriend during an altercation at his Florida home. The incident, as reported, involved Chapman allegedly choking his girlfriend and firing 8 gunshots in his garage. Although law enforcement investigated the matter, no charges were filed due to conflicting accounts and insufficient evidence. Despite avoiding criminal charges, the accusations severely affected Chapman's professional life. The incident occurred at a time when MLB was actively enforcing its domestic violence policy, emphasizing accountability and zero tolerance for such behavior. In 2016, MLB Commissioner Rob Manfred announced that Chapman would be suspended for 30 games without pay, marking the first disciplinary action under the league's domestic violence policy. Chapman accepted the suspension, opting not to appeal the decision. "I accepted the decision, I have to take responsibility for it and basically move on," Chapman said during the suspension. The suspension cost Chapman a portion of his annual salary, amounting to hundreds of thousands. Moving on, we have Andruw Jones, whose off-field troubles affected much more than his personal life. They put a dent in his financial future too. Andruw Jones. With 10 consecutive Gold Gloves and 5 All-Star selections during his 17-year MLB career, Andruw Jones was an influence on the Atlanta Braves' dominance in the late 1990s and early 2000s. But on Christmas Day in 2012, Jones was arrested at his Georgia home after allegedly assaulting his wife, Nicole Derrick. The incident occurred after Nicole asked him to help her tidy up the house following a Christmas party. It resulted in a heated argument, during which Jones was accused of grabbing Nicole by the neck, dragging her down a staircase, and threatening her. Derek managed to get away from Jones, who she claims was slightly intoxicated, and hightailed it to her parents' home, who lived nearby. Police were called to the scene, and Jones was charged with battery. Though Jones denied the allegations, the incident marked a turning point in his marriage. Nicole filed for divorce shortly afterward, citing the assault as evidence of an irreparably broken relationship. The legal proceedings soon escalated into a contentious battle over child support, alimony, and division of their marital assets. Nicole requested a significant settlement in the divorce, which included child support for their son, alimony payments, and half of the couple's acquired properties. As a professional athlete who had earned tens of millions of dollars during his career, Jones faced substantial financial liabilities. Unlike Jones, the allegations against Alomar were so intense that they ultimately led to his downfall in the sport. Roberto Alomar. Considered one of the greatest second basemen and all-around players in baseball history, Roberto Alomar is one of the big names in baseball, with a career filled with accolades and achievements. However, his off-the-field personality eventually endangered his impressive career. In 2010, Alomar's wife, Maripili Rivera, accused him of domestic assault during their tumultuous marriage. Rivera alleged that Alomar had physically abused her, prompting her to obtain a temporary injunction for protection against domestic violence against him. Alomar, who denied his wife's claims in court, countered by filing for divorce a few days later because their marriage was irretrievably broken, alleging Maripili had previously threatened divorce unless he gave her half ownership of an 18,000 square foot Tampa residence in his name. The divorce proceedings were highly publicized and ended with Rivera gaining access to the couple's $3 million mansion and a luxury car as part of the settlement. Adding to his woes, Alomar faced multiple lawsuits from women who accused him of knowingly infecting them with a sexually transmitted disease. These lawsuits claimed that Alomar had failed to disclose his health status, causing significant emotional and physical harm to the plaintiffs. These allegations further damaged Alomar's public image and financial stability. The legal battles were costly and contributed to the growing perception of Alomar as a controversial figure off the field. In 2021, Major League Baseball, MLB, investigated allegations of sexual misconduct against Alomar. Though details of the case were not disclosed publicly, MLB Commissioner Rob Manfred determined that Alomar, who had been inducted into the Hall of Fame in 2011, had violated the league's policies and announced that he would be permanently banned from baseball. Following MLB's decision, the Toronto Blue Jays severed ties with Alomar, removing his name from their level of excellence and ending their association with him.
This is a stunning fall for a great Blue Jays legend, certainly one of the most popular players in the franchise's history.
Similar to Alomar, abuse allegations also caused Addison Russell to lose more than just his spot on the team. Addison Russell. Russell, a key Chicago Cubs member, played a significant role in the team's historic 2016 World Series victory, ending a 108-year championship drought. However, his career took a worse turn after allegations of domestic abuse surfaced. In 2018, Russell's then-wife, Melissa Reedy, accused him of domestic abuse, detailing emotional and physical violence during their marriage. Reedy shared her story on her WordPress page, describing a pattern of manipulation, control, and physical assaults. The allegations gained widespread attention, prompting Major League Baseball to investigate Russell's conduct. Though Russell initially denied the accusations, MLB found enough evidence to take action. In October 2018, MLB Commissioner Rob Manfred suspended Russell for 40 games without pay under the league's domestic violence policy. Russell's suspension sidelined him and severely impacted his standing within the Cubs organization. The team placed him on administrative leave during the investigation and reinstated him after suspension. However, the Cubs faced backlash for allowing Russell to return, with many questioning the team's commitment to addressing domestic violence issues. Ultimately, in 2019, the Cubs chose not to renew Russell's contract, effectively ending his tenure with the team. After leaving the Cubs, Russell has since struggled to find opportunities in Major League Baseball. If you enjoyed this video, click on the card showing on your screen right now for more of it.